What a rough fourth quarter for the Green Bay Packers after being up 24-12 against the Atlanta Falcons heading into the fourth quarter and then losing this game 25-24, not scoring a single point and really doing nothing on offense in the fourth quarter. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I actually just got home, so I figured the first thing I want to do is sit down and talk about this football game. There was pretty much a roller coaster in terms of this game, you know, how the offense performed, how the defense performed, and just in general how this team performed throughout this entirety of this game. And there's a lot of things to go over, such as injuries and how players performed, who did good, who didn't do too good. So in this video, we're going to give my instant thoughts and reactions to this Week 2 loss, Packers versus Falcons. All right, so first and foremost, I do want to give credit to the Green Bay Packers. Now, there's a lot wrong with this football game, but they were without Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, David Bakhtiari. Those are three huge starters on the offense, probably the top three starters on the offense outside of Jordan Love going into this football game. So even though they did lose this football game, you know, if you have Aaron Jones out there, David Bakhtiari, Christian Watson, you know, I think the Packers definitely win this football game. So I do want to give them a little bit of credit in terms of that. And I also wanted to talk about the whole David Bakhtiari situation. We saw him not practice all week, the same as last week, but then he was listed as questionable, and a lot of reports came out that he's not going to play because it's a turf field, and he's been really against the whole turf field situations for a long time in his career, especially after Aaron Rodgers rupturing his Achilles on the turf field in week 1. So I understand that, and I do believe the NFL should go to all natural grass, and that should be a thing. Like, I'm not arguing that shouldn't be a thing, but it's becoming a detriment to the team if Bakhtiari's not going to play on turf fields. Like, this is your all-pro left tackle, one of your best players on offense, and you're paying him so much money. You need him out there to protect your quarterback. So, you know, Matt LaFleur after the game pretty much talked about how it's to do with his knee, and we've been dealing with this for 2 years. But I do believe it was because it was on a turf field, and Bakhtiari is very vocal about that, and he simply didn't want to play on the turf and potentially re-injure his knee as well, which I understand. But it seems like just a very odd time to do that when your team needs you, a new quarterback needs you, and you're a leader on this football team. Now, Rasheed Walker did come in at left tackle to start for David Bakhtiari, so interestingly, it seems like Josh Nijman is just completely out of the lineup, even second team. If Bakhtiari's out at this point, Rasheed Walker came in. I thought he had a decent game. We'll check out the exact pressures and all that tomorrow. I thought Jordan Love's first sack might have been on him, a miscommunication there between him and Elgton Jenkins. And speaking of which, Elgton Jenkins also went out of this game with an injury. So the Packers were, for the most of this game, without David Bakhtiari, Elgton Jenkins, their two best offensive linemen, Christian Watson, one of their best receivers, and Aaron Jones, their pivotal point of offense. The report after the game for Elgton Jenkins was that he was believed to have suffered an MCL sprain, and he'll have an MRI to determine the severity. So we're probably looking at like a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks, and that's a minimum, and that really sucks. So not only did the Green Bay Packers lose, which, it is what it is, but to lose Elgton Jenkins and have Bakhtiari not playing this game and the Packers just being so banged up, that hurts a lot more. All right, to start this football game, you kind of went into this going, okay, we know what the Atlanta Falcons want to do. They want to run the football. And man, I didn't expect the Packers to shut them down by any means. We know how good Bijan Robinson is. Tyler Algier looks good in year 2. Although Cordell Patterson didn't play in this game, even though he didn't hold any injury designation, I was still very, very worried about this running attack. And they really proved why you should be worried about their running attack. But to start this football game, again, the Green Bay Packers started slow. Punt on the first drive, then got an interception right away, Rasul Douglas, and then they punted again and allowed the Falcons to go kick a field goal. So the Packers had 2 drives to begin this game, including a turnover by Desmond Ridder, and ended up with 0 points from that, including a really weird situation where they're setting up for, I think, a 54-yard field goal and delay a game, then they punted. And Matt LaFleur said after the game he wasn't comfortable at that range for Carlson, even though Carlson hit a 57-yarder outside in the preseason. So I don't really understand that. Believe in your guy. He has the confidence right now and the consistency. Let him kick that football. And obviously with the score at the end, 25-24, an extra field goal would have allowed the Packers to win that. But I think the whole game dynamic would have changed and the Falcons would have went down and scored anyways at the end of that game. And they probably still would have won even if the Packers made the field goal early. Nonetheless, it was just a very weird weird situation to bring out the field goal unit, get a delay a game nonetheless, and then punt the football. Very odd. Then the Packers finally went down the field and scored a touchdown with Jaden Reed, a jet touch pass using him in motion like I've been talking about. And Jaden Reed had a very, very good day. I was very impressed with what Jaden Reed did in this football game. 4 receptions, 37 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Really stepped up for this offense in the absence of Christian Watson and Aaron Jones. Also, Dontavian Wicks, 2 receptions, 40 yards, and 1 touchdown. 2 rookie wide receivers really stepped up in the absence of 2 very big playmakers for this offense. Now, going over Jordan Love's performance, again, it started slow, but as the game went on, he got better. And that's kind of been a running theme for Jordan Love through all of offseason. Week 1 kind of starts slow and then gets better. I thought Jordan Love had a really good game outside of the fourth quarter, but that could also be attributed to some play calling and all of that, which we'll get into. But he finished 14 of 25, 151 yards, 3 touchdowns, got sacked once, had a QBR of 81.8, and a quarterback rating of 113.5. And Jordan Love so far this season has 2 3-touchdown passing games. Last year, Aaron Rodgers only had 1 all season. So far, Jordan Love has been very impressive, and I know this would have looked so much better if the Packers ended up winning this football game, but that fourth quarter is going to overshadow a lot of it. It was an abysmal fourth quarter, but nonetheless, I'm still impressed with Jordan Love and what he did in this game, making the right reads, navigating the pocket, even running on one of the third downs where he ran for 24 yards, which was super impressive, showcasing his athleticism and speed. I was still very impressed with Jordan Love in this game. That's without Aaron Jones, Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, Christian Watson, and I think the Packers, in terms of their offense, the lack of the run game and run blocking hurt them more than Jordan Love did. A.J. Dillon rushed 15 times for 55 yards, a 3.7 average, and it just looks the same as he did last week. He had a big opportunity this week. Aaron Jones is out. A.J. Dillon kind of seems like the guy that if you center your offense around him going into a game, he generally does pretty well, and I thought that was going to be the case this week, and it just wasn't. I mean, he slipped multiple times, and one of the plays he slipped on actually ran into Elton Jenkins, and now he has an MCL injury apparently. So, not that that's completely A.J. Dillon's fault, but it's like, man, you're slipping all over the field on a turf field, and you even slipped into one of your own players and injured him. And it just seemed like he wasn't direct with his running. He didn't have good vision. He was running into his own blockers, and that was the case all last year. And man, it's just been a disappointing start for A.J. Dillon so far, and really showcases why Aaron Jones is so important to this offense. Really didn't see much from the other running backs. Emmanuel Wilson, 3 carries for 5 yards, so nothing really going there. And Patrick Taylor, 1 carry for 1 yard. In terms of the other receiving stats for this offense, Romeo Doubs, kind of a quiet day, 2 receptions on 30 yards. Now, late in that fourth quarter, Love did try to go to Wicks on a crosser. It's kind of a high-low situation on crossers with Wicks and Doubs, and he was supposed to read the safety on which one he goes to, and he misread it and went to Wicks when Doubs would have been wide open for pretty much a touchdown. So that was definitely a mistake by Jordan Love there, and it would have made, a touchdown for Doubs, and he would have probably been, 90 plus yards and a touchdown. So, it was a little bit of a quiet day for Doubs. I wish they would have targeted him more. He wasn't even on the field for that last play of offense in the fourth quarter, which is crazy to me. Luke Musgrave, 2 catches, 25 yards. A.J. Dillon, a catch. Samori Toure, a catch. And DeGuara, 2 catches. As for this Packers defense, man, week 1, we saw how good this defense can be, and it might be that the Bears are just that bad, which we know they are, or that the Packers have a lot of talent. I think it's a collection of both, but man, I feel like going into today's game, you knew you had to at least try to stop this running attack by this Falcons offense. They want to power run, and they have good players to do that. Desmond Ritter's an athlete. He can run. Bijan Robinson is an absolute beast. He's a great runner. Tyler Allgeier's even a great runner. And Bijan still finished 19 carries for 124 yards, 6.5 average. I feel like there were so many times that I knew the Falcons were going to run, and it seems like the Packers weren't playing aggressive. And when you look at the Falcons, you want to beat them, similar to the Bears, stopping their run attack, stopping their quarterback from running, and forcing him to beat you passing, which Ritter did have some great throws, and Drake London had a really good game against Jair with 6 receptions, 67 yards, and a touchdown. I thought he got the better of Jair most of this game, but man, you got to stop that run attack first. And I feel like Joe Barry did not do a good job at it. Bijan averaging 6.5 a carry. Allgeier had 16 carries for 48, not a great average, but I mean, the Atlanta Falcons ran the ball 45 times. Desmond Ridder even ran 10 times for 39 yards and 1 touchdown. There was one play on third down. It was an empty set, and I was watching the game, and I was saying, Desmond Ridder, this is going to be a quarterback draw right up the middle for a first down, and that's exactly what it was. So if I can sit here and see what the Atlanta Falcons are going to be doing, I feel like Joe Barry should be as well. And it's just painful because we're so used to seeing this from Barry last year, where there's no real aggressiveness based on what that offense is going to do. There was even a third down where Bijan Robinson was split out wide, and they had Devondre Campbell over him 10 yards off the line of scrimmage when it was a 3rd and 3, and it was a very simple slant route after the slot guy went to a quick flat, and it was a wide open first down. It's like, you know what they're going to do there, yet you still have a linebacker matched up over Bijan 10 yards deep. It just makes no sense. Ridder didn't really do anything crazy to win this football game. 19 of 32, 237 yards, a touchdown, an interception. Should have had 2 interceptions, threw one right to Quay Walker and he dropped it. He got sacked once. He had a QBR of 72.5, a quarterback rating of 79.8. He pretty much just managed the game, converted on some 3rd downs, did a really good job handing the ball off and feeding Bijan Robinson, which you should, and the Packers should focus on that, and they didn't, so I understand why that was your game plan, as it should be as the Atlanta Falcons. But man, he didn't do anything to really wow you or impress you or really beat this defense, and that's why it pains me. And that's why it's so infuriating to lose this football game. Overall, that 4th quarter was just hard to watch. 3 straight drives for the Green Bay Packers ending in a punt, another punt, and turnover on downs. On the first one, it's where he misread that safety and tried to force it to Wicks when Dobbs was wide open. Then they ran it with A.J. Dillon on 2nd and 10, and he pretty much ran into his lineman and stuttered for 2 yards, didn't get anything. Then targeted Malik Heath on the outside against A.J. Terrell in press coverage when he's an excellent man press corner. It makes no sense to me. Then the next drive, they run 3 straight times with A.J. Dillon, still can't get a first down. Then on 4th and inches, there's a miscommunication with Jordan Love and Josh Myers, and he used the wrong call word for a quarterback sneak there, and it was a false start on him. And again, they had to end up punting. Then on that last drive where the Packers could have went down with a go-ahead field goal to win this football game, Jordan Love's first opportunity with a comeback drive pretty much in his career, and they didn't gain a single yard. On that last drive, Jordan Love was pretty much off. He kind of missed Jaden Reed on the first 2 throws, then Romeo Doubs on the 3rd one, and then of course on that 4th down, it looked like Samori Toure originally caught it, but then it was ruled incomplete, and it was an illegal formation anyways, or an illegal shift, so then it's a turnover on downs, end of game. Overall, I think the Packers just need to work on starting the game better. Both times they've started slow against the Bears and the Falcons. I thought it was going to be the same as the Bears, where second half comes out, the Packers come out firing, 2 straight touchdowns, and I thought it would continue. They were hitting quick timing routes to Jaden Reed. It was working. The passing offense was flowing, and although the run game wasn't that great, the offense was still flowing. Then it just completely went away in the 4th quarter, and the Falcons really just took over that game in terms of how many plays they ran, time of possession, and just holding the football, and they really won the battle in the trenches. As for next week, I'm just really hoping Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, David Bakhtiari are back for the Saints football game. I don't think Elton Jenkins will be back. He'll probably be out minimum of 3 weeks. So, we're going to see a lot of Royce Newman, unfortunately. I thought he did decently well actually filling in for Elton Jenkins, but we know what can happen with Royce Newman. But going into the next game, man, I just want to see them start hotter on offense, and hopefully Aaron Jones is back at that point and just feed Aaron Jones, because as of right now in this season, and I know it's early, A.J. Dillon just isn't it right now. But that about does it for this video. My instant thoughts and reactions to this football game. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. It's still very, very early, and I'm just hoping the same things don't hurt this Packers football team that we saw last year in terms of this defense and what they do on offense with poor play calling and not being able to finish games. So hopefully that all gets cleaned up next week against the Saints, then a short week after that, Thursday Night Football against the Lions. But that about does it for this one. I appreciate you guys watching. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like down below, but I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.